Folks, welcome back. Pop Retro 1 at Twitter and Instagram if you want to find me there. Facebook.com/PopRetro1. Wanted to real quick just show you what I watched over the Christmas holiday season, the Christmas movies that I watched this year. And it was a little more recent, Christmas was, for me than some of you, because all of my family got sick right around Christmas time. And so my family, we actually moved it up to New Year's weekend. So we actually celebrated Christmas at my brother's on New Year's Eve, December 31st. So, our Christmas was only about a week ago, whereas yours may have been more like 2 weeks ago. So anyhow, I have all these films on Blu-ray that I watched mostly in December leading up to Christmas. And what Christmas movies did you watch this season? And or which ones are your favorites? Last year, I watched mostly these new like Hallmark style Christmas movies that have been released on DVD mostly from some of the companies that I do reviews for. So I was watching a lot of those last Christmas, and things like Christmas in Wolf Creek, which I just happen to have sitting here. But this Christmas season, I wanted to go back and watch some of the classic Christmas movies and old school Christmas movies from when I was growing up, just because I hadn't watched them for a few years. Some of them I haven't watched for many, many years. So it was a lot of fun. So anyhow, tell me in the comments what you watched this Christmas season. And I just wanted to do this video before I got too far away from Christmas, because, if I wait too much longer, it'll be next Christmas by the time you see this video. So anyhow, up first, I started with the 1952 version of A Christmas Carol, starring, what's his name, Alistair Sim as Scrooge, right there. And this, if you're averse to watching older movies, especially movies that have been remade a million times, this movie moves really fast. It doesn't drag. If you know the story anyway, if you're familiar with A Christmas Carol, usually you can have some fun with it anyway because you know what's coming. But this DVD version Blu-ray and DVD. Is there also DVD in here? Yeah, it looks like it. There you go. Comes from VCI from several years back, and this might be my favorite version of this movie. I don't know. As far as the pure translations of the Dickens novel. I followed that up, though, with the 1984 version of A Christmas Carol starring George C. Scott. This one aired on British TV in the early 80s. There's a look at that. Who released this one? Fox released this on disc however many years ago. It was kind of funny. I don't know, I kind of chuckle now when I think it was in this one where Scrooge, just to really drive home the point that he's Scrooge, they show him walking along the sidewalk, and he sees that there's like a little girl, I don't know, just standing there playing on the sidewalk, and he just kind of shoves her off the curb. Just a total dick move. But in 2022, as I was watching this, I kind of had a chuckle, because it's like, obviously that's mean and you wouldn't do that, but Scrooge would do that. And, they had to really make sure that Scrooge is not a nice man. So, okay, up next, I then wanted to keep the Scrooge thing going. So, of course, I watched from 1988, Bill Murray in Scrooged. And this is an old-time favorite of mine. I hadn't watched it for quite a while, though, and it was fun to rewatch it. I have worked all my adult life in television, so the fact that he's a TV executive was always something that just appealed to me when I was younger, because it was the industry I wanted to work in, as silly as that is for this movie. There's a look at just kind of showing you the physical media of the discs that I have here. This was from Paramount. A lot of these I've had for quite a few years. Then I watched from 1990. I was a freshman in high school when this came out. Home Alone. And I hadn't watched Home Alone for quite a while. And they're just kind of funny. I don't know. I feel like watching Home Alone today, I probably haven't watched it in 6 or 7, maybe 8 years. It'd been a while. And I don't know. I just feel like the stuff that comes into my head first, it's like, well, I think that I would probably see like a CNN story, talk about how not cool and how dangerous it is to leave your children home alone. And, like, no crap, Sherlock, it's a movie. But but it is funny how the world has changed, because back then, I think he's like Macaulay Culkin is a 10-year-old in the movie, I think. And, that just reminded me of our youth. That was like wish fulfillment, our family leaving us to be all alone, so we just have the run of the house. And that's essentially what you get with Home Alone. You got to be the master of the domain. You got the whole house to yourself. And that's what we really loved. And I think that's what really resonated about the movie, 33 years ago, back in 1990 when it came out. So I had fun rewatching it. And Culkin was so good as a child actor too. All right, up next, I watched It's a Wonderful Life, the Frank Capra classic. Another one I kind of chuckle at, just the over-the-top meanness sometimes of the characters. Portrayal, James Stewart. Be a lot easier if we didn't have all these kids around, just with the kids standing, sitting right there playing around the Christmas tree. It's like, why do we got all these kids? Why do we got to have them? Or whatever it is he says. Just lines like that just crack me up. This is another Paramount release. It's a Wonderful Life. Did not do well upon release when it first came out, but over the years picked up steam and became a critical favorite and a favorite of many around the holidays. So, I mean, kind of a depressing movie, for the most part. This is one that if I decide to watch it during the holiday season, I tend to watch it real early on, like maybe even in November. Leading up to Thanksgiving or right after Thanksgiving. But the closer I get to Christmas, the less I want to watch It's a Wonderful Life, because it really is just kind of a bit of a depressing movie up until you get to that final part where, as the holidays approach, things finally turn around and he realizes it's a wonderful life that he leads. Another classic from my childhood, and perhaps yours, from 1983, it is A Christmas Story. There's another one, too, where I thought today, I mean, the whole movie is kind of predicated on little Ralphie wanting that BB gun, and that's what we wanted as kids back then. I had a BB gun. Back then, can you even advertise BB guns on TV now? I wonder, And this movie is just as fun today as it was back then. This is an old DVD release from Warner Brothers. Wow. Commentary with Billingsley and the director Bob Clark. Pretty incredible. Darren McGavin, of course, plays the dad in this. Kolchak. Then I watched a movie I hadn't watched since the 90s. This came out when I was in high school. Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. And one thing that I had forgotten about this, I was never, I don't know, the girls in high school, my girlfriend loved it. The girls that I knew that were in band and the creative arts stuff in high school, that they just loved this movie. And it was fine for me. It was just, I was more into action movies, stuff like that. And upon rewatching it though, especially in high def on Blu-ray, it is pretty amazing how it's stop motion animation. And this was in 1993. So this really was kind of the end of the line before everything started going CG and digital animation. But watching it, I mean, there were a few times where I thought, geez, this looks like digital animation. This does not look like it's stop motion. It's so smooth and so well done. And I watched a little bit of the bonus features on this, and sure enough, it shows like the miniature sets and things that they used to create the world and get the shots that they did for Nightmare Before Christmas. And it is just amazing. It was so well done. And again, it was, I guess, the culmination of all those years of learning about how best to do stop motion animation. And we got it right here with The Nightmare Before Christmas from Disney. All right, just a couple left here. I then watched this. This one I hadn't watched since I was a kid. Santa Claus the Movie, starring Dudley Moore. And this was sort of it was 1985, and sort of a flop. And I don't think it's very well remembered. And I enjoyed it, watching it this Christmas season. It sort of tries to tackle all of the what do you call it, the fantasy surrounding the Santa Claus legend. It's like, wait a minute, how, if you remember we were kids and you would ask yourself, how does Santa Claus fit through the chimney? How does Santa Claus deliver presents to millions and millions of children and people all in one night? I just can't. I mean, even, we know it's not true, but even if it were, how would all this happen? And I thought this movie did a good job of kind of explaining in its own way, well, here's the magic and how we make that happen. And this was kind of a splashy big feature thing produced by the Salkinds, the people who produced the Superman films, the Christopher Reeve Superman films, at least the first few. So there you have Dudley Moore, who plays the elf, and he's trying to be the good, helpful elf who, is able to help Santa make as many toys as possible, so that the assembly line can work and Santa can get those toys out there as fast as possible without falling behind. Very practical work they were doing in Santa Claus the Movie. This DVD, or keep saying DVD, Blu-ray, released by Lionsgate, a Studio Canal owned picture, I believe. Up next, from the early 2000s, it is Jim Carrey and the Grinch, or How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Hadn't watched this for quite a few years. Always liked how I think the VHS even came like in green plastic. And I always liked how the Blu-ray case is also green. I forgot that Taylor Momsen plays the little girl in this movie, and she later on in the decade, I don't know, around, what was it, 2008 or 9, she was on Gossip Girl. I watched that with my girlfriend at the time, and then she wound up starting her own band at like 16, and just really kind of a hard rock, almost looks like a goth band. What's it called? The Pretty Reckless, I think it's called. So just very interesting career trajectory that she had. So I think she was like 7 years old here, but she sings in this movie, and obviously she has a good voice. So I guess it was destined that she was going to be involved in music after she got done with her acting career. And of course, Jim Carrey, probably a perfect choice to play the Grinch. And of course, probably the Christmas movie I've watched the most since I was a teenager, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. This year when I watched it, I thought, I've seen it so many times, and times are a-changing, and so am I still going to find this funny? The jokes that I used to laugh at Will I laugh at them again? Will I laugh at them for the 100th time? Or will I now see the error of my ways and say, Jason, that's me, you're very immature and you should not be laughing at that. Well, it turns out, I mean, I snorted my way through this movie once again, because the stuff that I found funny when I was 15 years old, a lot of it, I still find funny. And stuff that maybe went over my head when I was 15 years old that I found funny at 25, I still find funny now at 46 years old. So great movie, classic comedy, Christmas Vacation. And finally, one more. Actually, I had, where did it go? Well, I'll just end on this one. Home Alone 2. I talked about Home Alone a little bit ago. I actually saved Home Alone 2 for later on. I was wondering if I even saw Home Alone 2, and I know I did back in the day. It came out in 1992, a couple years after the first one, and it was fine. I think I just don't remember it very well because my younger siblings growing up probably watched the first Home Alone a million times, rented it, had it, it was played on TV all the time. And the sequel was just not played as much. And so I think that I probably saw the sequel. We probably all saw it as a family back in 92. I was in high school and I just didn't remember it that much. And now when I rewatch it back, there were certain scenes that I recalled. And it's really just kind of a replay of the first one, the difference being he's lost in the city instead of home alone. And but a lot of the action winds up in this kind of apartment building where he's able to set all the traps and the tricks and beat the crap out of Daniel Stern and Joe Pesci again for the second time. So there was actually a Home Alone 3 that came out after this, which was the last theatrically produced Home Alone movie. Did not have any of the original cast, I don't think, back though. And after that, there has been 3 non-theatrical Home Alone movies. So there are 6 total. I don't know if I ever saw 3, and I know I haven't seen 4, 5, or 6, but I don't know. Now that I'm old and wise and not sneering at something like that, I'm actually kind of interested just to see what they did with the Home Alone franchise as it got into the 2000s, just to see if they tried to pay homage to the original, or what they tried to do to keep it going as a sort of direct to video or direct to streaming type of thing. So there you have it. Those were my Christmas movies that I watched throughout the month of December, leading up to Christmas. And I don't know, it was about 12 movies. I think there was 1 or 2 that for some reason I just put back up on the shelf, and I didn't put in the stack. At some point I said, I'm just going to do a video and tell people what I watched, the Christmas movies. And so I started putting them in a stack so that I could do this video. And a few of them I just forgot to do that with. So I will have to go over those next year if I rewatch them. So what did you watch this Christmas? What Christmas movies did you watch? Or which Christmas movies are your favorites? Leave them in the comments. Please subscribe if you haven't. Give a like, leave a comment, and all those things that help the channel grow. And the channel has been growing over the past month faster than it's ever grown before for some reason. So maybe we're hitting the algorithm wave at the right time. And so would like to keep that going as we head toward 300 subscribers. I never thought I'd get 100. And, now I'm up in the 200s, and 300 is the next goal. So, hey, I'll be back soon with some non-Christmas haul videos and reviews, and I will see you then.